Since we left for spring break on March 6th, our world has completely changed. The NBA and the NHL both suspended their seasons just a few weeks before the playoffs were set to begin. The NCAA completely canceled the spring season of their sports, including March Madness, my favorite time of the year, so I was really bummed out about that. And the MLB canceled, or at least suspended their season a few weeks before they were even set to begin. Their only season they've had so far is spring training, and now they have no opening night that is in their line of sight right now. Nobody knows when that's going to begin. But why? Why is everything getting canceled? We all know. It's the outbreak of the coronavirus that is taking a huge toll on our world. But before we get to know about the impact it's had on our world, we need to know a little bit of background about it. According to a report from Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the report was written by Lawrence Sauer, the disease first showed itself in December of 2019 in a city called Wuhan, China. Little did we know when it first showed itself the amount of damage and toll it will take, or has taken, on the world at this point in time. And while it's called COVID-19, there is a scientific name for it, and that is called SARS-CoV-2, which is mentioned in a report by Scripps Institute Research. And SARS-CoV-2, the SARS stands for Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, which causes pneumonia-like symptoms, and then coronavirus, and then 2, which means there used to be a 1, which takes us back to 2003 in China, where there was an outbreak like this there. However, it wasn't as prominent, it wasn't as contagious, and if anything, it was like a taste of what could happen, or I guess what did happen now. We don't really know, to this day, at least right now, what has caused this disease, but there are two possible, origin hypotheses about how it was caused, which is laid out by the Scripps Research Institute report, and they both have to do with animal to human contact. The first origin, which is the one I believe is the most likely, is that there was a pathogenic strain of the coronavirus, which means disease, like a disease-causing strain, which was in an animal. It came into contact with a human, jumped from the animal to the human, and then hosted itself inside their body. And once it gets inside of our body, it's a virus. It can spread. It spreads easily, which, as we can see, is what's happening now. There's no confirmed report of what started this strain of the coronavirus, although with research it showed that bats have a strain of coronavirus, and their strain of coronavirus is the almost identical strain of this one. So it's safe to say that the animal that causes was a bat. The world has been set on fire, so to speak, because of a bat, which brings me to my second point, or their second possible origin of how this started, and it came from an animal, but it was non-pathogenic. But once it entered our bodies, it went to our cells, created a cleavage site inside of our cells, and then developed into the pathogenic strain that it is right now, which means that we caused the disease, or at least our bodies did, it's possible, but I believe from what I've read, it makes most sense that it was already pathogenic when it came from the animal to us. But either way, it's just as scary. The first one is honestly more scary because it means that an animal can have a pathogenic strain of the coronavirus. So even if we defeat the ones that possibly were given to us by bats, there could be another animal out there that gives it to us again at some other point in time, which is terrifying. Before we get into the sports and entertainment side of this, let's go over a quick timeline that was written out by an ABC News article written by Aaron Shoemaker. On December 31st is when WHO, the World Health Organization, reported the first report of this, which is when a dozen people in Wuhan, China started to feel like pneumonia-like symptoms. And then 10 days later, they had their first death due to this. 10 days after that, on January 21st, is when the United States had their first taste of the coronavirus, when a 31-year-old man who had just recently traveled to Wuhan, China, came back and was tested positive for the coronavirus. At this point, we knew it was a coronavirus. We weren't sure much more about it. They were still doing research on it. It was just still relatively new. But we knew that it was a strain of the coronavirus. On January 30th, WHO declared this a global emergency, national emergency, health emergency to be exact. And on February 11th is when they gave it the name COVID-19. Corona, B, I for virus, D for disease, 19 for the year that it began. And then on February 29th was when the first death in America happened, which caused Trump to declare a national emergency 2 weeks later, a month and a half after WHO had already declared it a global health emergency, which I think is a little late, but I'm not the one making that decision. And then on March 17th, the outbreak had spread to all 50 states. The day we were supposed to come back from spring break, instead we got coronavirus all across America. By March 26th, the U.S. had surpassed the highest amount of cases in the whole world, and unfortunately we still hold that title to the day with 990,000 cases and over 56,000 deaths. With all these deaths and cases, it's caused a huge toll in the world, and I don't think it's more prominent than what it has showed in the losses that we've taken in the sport and entertainment world. According to a report from a Forbes writer called Ken Baudenheiser, the major sports leagues in the U.S. are projected to lose $5 billion. The MLB is projected to lose $2 billion of that because they haven't even gotten their season started. They haven't been able to intake any revenue yet. The NBA is projected to lose $1.2 billion. The NCAA is projected to lose $1 billion. And then the NHL, NASCAR, and MLS are projected to lose $900 million combined. But that's only if these events return in June. With that not looking likely, it's possible that the sport events will lose close to double that amount if there's no season at all, because it's just going to keep causing loss of revenue intake. But like the sports world, the concert business is set to lose quite a chunk of change too, as this is broken down by LA Times writer August Brown. The year 2020 was set to be the banner year for concerts. It was the most tours, most shows, everything, the whole 9 yards. But that's not happening anymore. It was projected that the concert business would make a projected $12.2 billion this year, which is quite a chunk of change. But since concerts completely stopped, canceled until who knows when, they're obviously going to take a heavy hit as well. If concerts don't start back up this year, they're projected to lose $9 billion in the concert business. But we don't want to think about that, and neither does August Brown, because in his report he gives us two possible options of if concerts start again. The first one being in May, which is in 3 or 4 days, so obviously that's not going to happen. But if it does, then the concert business will only lose $2.3 billion. It's very likely that's not happening, and at this point everybody knows that. So he gives us a second option. If they were to return in August, which is a possibility to return, and many people do think that it could happen then, the concert business would only lose $5.2 billion, which means they'll still make $7 billion, which it sounds like a lot, but obviously it's not when you think about how much they lose because of it. But I think we just need to count our losses here. WHO has already stated that it's a possibility that concerts don't even return until fall of 2021, which is a year and a half from now, and they're trying to project that we'll get concerts in May and August. I just don't see it happening, and it's unfortunate because $9 billion is a lot, and that's not even including how much it would lose from the concert set in 2021 up until the fall. So from January to, say, August or September of 2021, you got to count those losses as well. But as of right now, there's a projected combined loss of $20 billion in the sport and entertainment business because of a bat. I just can't believe it. A world without the NBA, the NHL, MLS, NCAA, March Madness, sports in general, it's just a dismal one. No concerts, no shows, no fun. But there are ways to stop this spreading. Stay home. Don't go out unless it's exactly for essentials. And if you feel sick, self-isolate. Do not even think, oh, I just have a cold or something. Take the precaution because we don't know, and this is constantly spreading. But if they're projecting that we can have possibly concerts and sporting events by the time football season rolls around this fall, and all we need to do is stay home, why not do that? Why not be safe? Why not just take the precautionary measures to do that? So with that being said, stay safe, stay healthy, take care, and we'll all get through this together.